Good morning. I'll get rid of that screen quicker today. Ad starts in 5 seconds, but you don't get ads, so. How you doing, Walline? How are things? We are going to try very hard to remain in Visual Studio today, because I think it's probably a better idea to stay in Visual Studio with this project. Sorry, I'm just trying to get my monitor. Sorry for the wobbly camera. Things are interesting. Okay, well. I hope interesting in good ways. Yeah, I am. I'm okay today. That font is driving me crazy. I thought it was the angle my monitor was sat at, but it's not. For some reason, it's JetBrains mono, but it's just not aliasing correctly. I think it's a conspiracy by Microsoft. Looks a bit better, but now it looks small, so let's size it up a little bit. We'll go with 16. There. Ugh. No. No. Pulled out. We need a Control Shift period. What's that one do? Control Shift period. Oh, was it not size right? No, 100. Oh, 121. Oh no, I didn't want to. I didn't want to. Yeah. I prefer modifying the font size so that then Windows open, they don't end up with. I don't end up with weird sizings, etc. But yeah, well, does it keep that in this now? It didn't used to, did it? Okay, it retains it. Okay. Yeah, I don't like. It's funny because Rider's Zoom seems a little better, but I prefer to set the font size. So the font I use on stream on Rider is the font I code in all the time. I don't is the settings I code in all the time. I don't change the visuals for the stream. So okay. Now the one thing we don't have with this is we don't have the scratch where I left a note for myself telling myself what to do. So that was kind of daft, wasn't it? Oh, awesome. Awesome. We can't build. Why can't we build? Metadata file could not be found. Oh, Visual Studio doesn't feel as good as it once did. But I'm going to keep working in this because it's I think it's more productive in terms of sharing. However, that being said, I do need to open that Scratch file and create a version in here. Add existing item. So that won't be in the how do we do this? Project, stream. Let's do text document. Notes. Notes.txt. So what I'm doing is I'm opening the Rider version so I can get the Scratch, and I'll take the Scratch, then close the Rider version down. Interesting. Where we are. Bye-bye, Rider. Okay. Move files from example Blazor auth project to see if we can't get login to work. Added auth DB context, created migration setup services. The original migration doesn't seem to want to run. Might need to create a combined job to run both. So I did this. I actually did this off stream because it was bugging me. So what I did, so I have migrations and auth migrations. I did in the Aspire piece, I created one worker and I did run standard and run auth, and it worked fine. Okay, so that runs. So we should be able to spool this up and see both in the dashboard. Then we need to move so I do need to write it open. I'll bring it over to the screen though, because we don't need it on this screen. Blazor with auth. It's on the other screen, okay. Open this and look at developers.stream. So we have our platforms, our tags, our streamers and platforms right this second. And we can go here and go to auth, and there's all our tables for auth. So we have our context, we have our auth pieces. I prefer doing this. I prefer not mixing the two things. I've seen in the past, and maybe that's because I've seen in the past people using the records from here to join and reference other things. I would rather create a representation of users in here if that's necessary, to join up. So when you sign up, I create a user in here at the same time as creating the authentication piece, to line those two pieces up, like a profile or something in here. I would rather go that path. I don't know. I don't like it got quiet. Was it a directional thing or is it still quiet? It sounds okay to me right now. In the middle of you saying what you were saying. Huh. Maybe I moved away or I tilted my head differently. I don't know. I'll have to keep an eye on it. Sound issues abound. Okay. It went from one level to a quieter level. Still sounds the same. It's okay. I'll turn you up. So I've actually gone quieter. I didn't change anything. I can raise it a little bit because I've got right now I've got minus 12 decibels. That's minus 10 decibels. That should get a lot louder. No, not that much. You didn't change anything since you're in the middle of saying a thing. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So let's start with Golden Sword. Thank you very much. Appreciate the look. Give it a follow. Okay. So we need to move the components over. So do this. I remove that. Yeah, I remove some of them. Stashes, that's good. Cleaned necessary usings in context worker. Push. I'm trying to push frequently so that if anyone does want to at least look at the repo, you can do. It's still there. Okay, so now I need to move over the components that make up the auth. So what we determined last time was that if I do the scaffolding, well, at least if I did the scaffolding in Rider, this would break. Maybe it works differently with identity. Let's try add. Okay. So if we cancel that, add a project reference, infrastructure auth, which is an okay. This is at the same level on the whole clean architecture diagram. Web and integration infrastructure are at the same kind of level, so it's okay in my mind to have a reference. There's no challenge with that. This menu is just so much busier, isn't it? .NET Aspire Orchestrator support. Scaffolding. Okay. So auth context. User class. Let's see what this scaffolds out first. So we know the rider one scaffolds pages, not components. So we know the rider one does not scaffold the right thing. Let's see if this one does. So with rider we got areas and all sorts in there. That's interesting. It wouldn't let me select the user, though. There was an error. Oh. Well, at least the rider one lets me get somewhere. Blazor identity, that's that. API. Common. So we're back to the best way to do this is probably copy the pieces. Yes, required. But I don't want, like, auth-db context. Interesting. It's that time of year again when the sun's going to creep through the window. No. It should be as identity-db context. We have an identity user. That's correct. That's from what I watched, from what I looked at, that's correct. Yeah, identity-db context. Yep, it's fine. An application user is identity user, yeah, it's fine. That's sun. Interesting. Oh, Joe, good morning. Okay, well, what we could do is piece these things in manually. Do I have the DB context? I'm just about to check that, to be honest. So we do not, because we don't have this. You think that's what's making it messy? So we need that. Kenny. Use this points message. This message is now big and full of love while saying hi to everyone and wish you a great start into the last day of the week. Thank you, Kenny. Hope you are well. Sorry I missed the end of your stream yesterday. I was trying to get some coding done, and no offense, but trying to listen to you, Panda, and Tentic and music at the same time, my attention span cannot cope with that. So I have to lurk, and it's a fun place to be, but I cannot. I may have some attention problems. Not certain. Okay, so we need to add in these pieces. So let's add them in. So add, oh wow, add Razor components, add interactive server components, add interactive WebAssembly components, add authentication state serialization components. Stream was not horrible. I mean, you were getting distracted by you were trying to fix a problem and you had two people in there, but it's a fun place to hang out. So we have this is all added. I'm gonna add these. I'm gonna add them here now, and then I'm gonna create an extension method to wrap these up because this is driving me crazy. Identity revalidating authentication state provider. That's quite an interesting name. So let's comment that out because I think that's what it's going to create for me if it scaffolds it. App.use migrations endpoint. That's an interesting one. I'm not using that. Progress wise, it was horrible. The result of 3 hours, I was able to send an image via WebSocket. Nice. Why? I didn't kind of get that because there was a lot of laughing and a lot of back and forth and signal R thrown in there. Why were you trying to send an image via WebSocket? What was the use case there? Okay, so that comes from a different piece. Hold on, let's comment that out. Yeah, I'm going to build extension methods for some of these because it will clean it up. Let's see if we can scaffold this now. So I'm kind of filling in the blanks there one line, but do you feel that that is potentially why it won't scaffold because there's missing components? The problem is that configured from, okay, so the database provider is configured from the selected context. The user class, this is bugging me a little bit, but let's find out. Scaffolding in Visual Studio doesn't work. So Rider gets it wrong and Visual Studio won't work. So we're kind of at the point where I'm going to copy the pieces in here and see if it builds. So we've got, we can drag the entire account folder in here, right? So if we go into here, now why does that get rid of layout? Is that because layout exists elsewhere? It is a possibility. I think that the DB context is an identity DB context that infers the user class. Also, do you have EF design? Probably not. Why would that shouldn't matter? If design is required for the migrations, that's definitely done because the migration's built. Also, I project that you know that maybe the little PNG tube avatar from Panda that's made by me, and I don't like that she has the last control over it. So I make a small change to that so she can push changes to a Panda whenever she wants to give her more control over her avatar. Also, that the sound processing will be handled locally on the client's PC. Okay. tool is required for scaffolding. Yes. Scaffold. Identity. Tool. But it's not scaffolding out. It's not scaffolding out DB context. Brian, good morning. How are you doing? Welcome in. Happy to get a stream. Happy you're here. So today, what we're going to try and do, Entity Framework Core Tools. Sorry, sunlight. So today we're trying to add the identity components of Blazor into an established application. We've built the context, we've got the migrations working. So we do have a migrations library. There's auth and regular migrations here. They do run. There is a service that starts up as part of Aspire that runs the migrations. So that's fine. We've got the context, we've got the user in infrastructure auth, and what we're trying to do is add this in. I'm not sure why Microsoft Entity Framework Core Tools would be scaffolding. I'm not scaffolding DB context. I'm scaffolding out identity. I've got a DB context. Yeah. I expect it to complete and put the pages in place. I'm trying to see if I can copy the pages in from the Blazor example, because if you remember when Ryder was doing this, Ryder was creating the incorrect scaffolding. It was the other version of them. So I was trying to see if Visual Studio's scaffold would put Blazor identity in correctly, but it fails with a null path. Now, what would require Entity Framework? Well, I've got Microsoft Entity Framework Core Tools, but what would require that? So I've got Identity UI, and it's scaffold on the pages directory. Well, it doesn't go in the pages directory. This lands in an account folder above the pages at the same level. So you think it's the directory? So I do this, it selects that. I don't get to select the user. This is really dumb that it doesn't let you just scaffold it. Another approach that I haven't tried, but I'm going to try, is just use the create new context and name the context the same, choosing your existing application. Then change the namespace to match yours and delete the newly created. But it seems like the suggestions are more annoying. They're not annoying. When I get like that, I'm the problem is I'm trying to work on the why, right? I get the suggestions and I'm not trying to dismiss. I'm just trying to fathom why would that change this behavior, right? Why would it do? Why are you letting me select that now? Okay, let's see that. So it's letting me select the user from the auth directory now. Is that identity context not set up correctly? Let's have a look. When this gets added, let's see what happens. Because I think this is going to work. Oh, come on now. So it doesn't work out of the box with a new context either. So let's Let's try that once more. So we validated that it doesn't matter which directory level I do this at. Blazor identity. Let's add it straight away so we don't even have the other one in there. Let's add a new auth user. Let's let it scaffold everything itself. It's building everything new. Value cannot be null parameter path. Nope. The why is because I remember needing to add a new get package, and I'm pretty sure it was EF Core Tools when scaffolding identity in previous projects. Gotcha. So I've long had a problem with maybe my reaction as well when people just say try this, try this, try this, right? Not you specifically, just in general, because to me, I want someone to say try this because I'm trying to get the knowledge myself, and a lot of things are like, well, I've done this in the past, and those sorts of things become part of the story of the setup, and we end up including things we don't need to include because we've just gone through and done what we've done in the past or whatever. So I always try and stop and question the why to make sure that we're not including code or structure. Because I think I've told this story before. I got to work on a VB app, and I asked one of the experienced developers on the project, what does that first line mean? And he said, I don't know, we just always copy it in there. And to me, if you don't understand what line one of your program code does, what else is in there that shouldn't be there? So I always stop and push back on that. So don't take it as me getting annoyed or irritated in any way, shape, or form. I will always stop and ask why. Sometimes I'll seem a little grumpy than I need to be. But yeah. Somebody on the internet said Microsoft Visual Studio Web Code Generation Design. That one. Might as well share that on the screen now because I would add the because and full description, but still trying to work at the same time. No, I get that. I'm not trying to. I appreciate the input. I get that you are trying to do. You are doing work at the same time. I feel like you have taken it on because it's Blazor and because you know that I'm not a big fan of Blazor, that you've taken it as a little bit of a challenge to make sure that I'm not having the worst experience in the world with Blazor. I feel you feel this a bit more personally than the Liquid Sky stuff. But it's not your job to defend Blazor. Please do not divert yourself from your work. I do appreciate the any effort, any help. All the other recommendations I read seem like too much. It's an interesting problem, right? And this is a common one, right? I'm hitting something anybody could hit. Is it my configuration? Yeah, no, I appreciate it. I do appreciate any help, and I'm not asking you to give long-winded explanations for everything you provide. This happens, right? This does happen. Hey, I'm Rox. How you doing? Um, Nothing's perfect. This could be a configuration issue on my side. This could be because I'm trying to piece it together. What's the most practical way to proceed? Let's have a look. Dependencies, .NET 9, packages. Hate the SQLize there. Day off today, so can't complain. Exactly, that'd be awesome right now. Got Monday off though, so I suppose no problems there. So the Blazor app, now this has Entity Framework Core in here from Postgre. The Blazor app has this, doesn't have this. Microsoft does have that. What? Okay. That can't be. Let's update all them. Because what could possibly go wrong with me updating Entity Framework this week? So for reference, after yesterday's stream, I did update the packages to .NET 9 and EF Core 9, because apparently there is a conflict with using EF Core 8 and EF Core 9 in the same application. That does not go well. Okay. So I'm going to assume, well, that won't have introduced that because that's scaffolded, I think. Right? That's scaffolded stuff. That's not. I don't think. Yeah, that's added yet. So we're going to assume that that's included as part of the scaffolding. Oh no, I want that, right? Let's try the scaffolding once more. Now we've added and updated libraries. Add new scaffolded item. I wonder if there's a way to update these. These templates might be. Yeah. Well, the worst that goes wrong is I revert everything and start again. Right. I mean, there's a few weeks worth of investment of time in this project, but I'm happy to start again. And the reason I'm using Aspire Blazor is because this is going to be an open source project, and because this is a .NET thing that I think that people would benefit from using to learn from or to refer to. And again, why I'm a little bit more curious as to why I'm doing something, because this, especially identity, is an area that we've many times learned that I am not strong in. I don't feel comfortable in, because there's a lot of, I'll just do this. I'll put this in here, put this in there, put this in there. And there's little to explain how the pieces work together. And that's not you guys, that's in general. When I look around, there's a lot of that sort of stuff. It's like, oh, well, add this, add this, add this, add this, add this, and now log in. Yay, you're fixed. Good. What do they do? What pieces do I need? Why do I need those pieces? Is the tooling in need of an update? Am I on the latest version of Visual Studio? There is version 13. I find it interesting how different C# web looks and works, for example. Like, for example, Spring Boot in Java. Also, in what way? Sorry, pardon me. Quite a few changes between 12.4 and 13, but I'm not going to update a Visual Studio version right this second. How do I get a version to see if there is a new version of the scaffolding, right? Because that's 1.0.0. That would be a .NET tool normally, right? But a few different combinations of things and the scaffolding just isn't working. Oh, so it even breaks for you. 8. So we get one problem in one tool and another problem in another tool. Does anybody know how you update, if it's possible to update these scaffolds? Blazor identity scaffolder. I'm here for my monthly sleep schedule is destroyed enough to watch you. Well, I'm sorry the sleep schedule's destroyed, expanded, but welcome in. Glad to have you here. In Java, this stuff is configured with injected objects that you create on-demand in methods where you get an interfaces parameter that you can configure. And when you need stuff like calls, etc., I almost read CQRS then, you just define the service in such a coding method. C# feels a bit like how you would do it in JavaScript, where you configure it from top to bottom in a procedural style. Holy moly. 5 to 11, you only got 6 hours. Yeah. So a common pattern here now, Kanye, is to actually break these up into more extension methods. So you'll see me in a minute, or when we get it working, break these up into configuration folders and put methods in there so that they are still top to bottom, but they're extension methods that break it out. Because this gets really messy. Yeah. No. Fixing .NET 8 scaffolding. I got really messy in JavaScript too. I'm doing it off screen again because I don't like flicking back and forth between screens. If I find anything useful, I'll share. Okay, so 5 months ago, people were complaining. I want areas. That's not what I want though. So someone's suggesting that if you do it by the command line, it will create an areas folder, but that's the problem. If I use Rider, I can get the areas folder. Okay, that's a Cloudflare tunnel failing. Yeah. Right, but the .NET. What I'm saying is that the person that said that I found one that said there's a .NET scaffold tool. Frank, enjoy your breakfast. Thank you for stopping by. If you're streaming later, I will catch you there. Take care. If you don't know, Frank is a streamer. He works on right now. He's working his dungeon. Is how do you put it? Sorry, D&D style book game, building with Blazor. Frank is also a cloud expert and Azure specialist, so it's a great stream to go and hang out in. Really relaxing, really nice to hang out and quiet. Yeah. Here's a question. Hi, Des. Do you know of a feature framework where there's all the service and middleware stuff encapsulated and you just add all these as a list of features? I mean, Aspire's kind of Aspire is aspiring to be that thing, I suppose. In some to some extent in terms of features. Um, that's the closest I think we've got right this second in the .NET world. But I wouldn't want plug and play. I just want a bit of clarity in these things. I feel like as a CLI tool would make it obvious which path is missing, like the npm issue we had. Right, okay. Um, is the problem is that so it's suggesting that the to use the scaffolding. Yeah, okay, hold on. To use the scaffolding is going to create. I really need to turn off focus mode on PowerShell. So .NET tool install -g .NET ASP.NET code generator. That's the area it's giving us actually. I feel like everyone ends up doing that same old breaking out into extensions every time. It's become more prevalent now, and that's interesting. It wasn't installed. Let's try. Learn it doesn't matter which way. It's in there. There's a section called scaffold identity to a Blazor project. Switch the tab. Okay. With minimal API, people have really embraced those extension methods to build out configuration and stuff. No. I did just find someone give me the command line. Okay. Let's see if this works. Opening terminal. But yeah, I don't think there's anything like that I've seen. Because everyone's project is slightly different, right? You've got different needs, different wants, and nothing really plugs together really simply. .NET, ASP.NET, code generator, identity dash DC. Is this going to accept? This is going to accept auth-db context. Again, what's the worst happens? And yeah, this will be the point that I break down and copy the pieces over manually from a new project with identity. Yeah. Yeah, I feel Mojo's point is right here. It will at least. Oh no, it worked. That I just saw that change, and it put areas in there, which is the same structuring as Rider does. I got way more of my music app thing working out. Nice, Delta. Good to hear it. Vacation. Nice. So it created areas anyway. And now I have an auth-db context there. Well, hold on. Isn't that... Don't I basically just move that into there to get this working? Is that good enough? So if I drag that into the... Yeah, just the namespace is fine. And then we delete this. Hold on. This probably has the auth pieces in, doesn't it? View imports. We're just gonna leave that there for a second. Let's go over here. Let's remove that part. Did you add identity? Add default identity. Hold on. We have a bit of a divergence here. I remember this tripping me up in the past. What is the difference between add identity and add default identity? That wants to be that version. Not. I shouldn't have done that in the first place. We need to get rid of that DB context to make sure that it's using the right one. Yeah, see. Require confirmed account. So that's add identity core. Okay, do you work now? Why is that? That doesn't create that, does it? No, it doesn't. We don't get those things with this. Yeah. Okay, let's revert all that. Undo changes. Yes, I'm going to undo everything, right? Everything can go. Everything must go. It doesn't seem to work with the new Blazor web app either as far as scaffolding the Blazor component. This is not a good experience. It's inconsistent. It's broken. It doesn't help you along the way. Yep, there is. Appreciate it. Thank you online for the assistance. I do genuinely appreciate the help. But if you're like I've done enough of this stuff to realize that yes, it's frustrating. Yes, it's going to not work properly the way I want it to work, but it's just part of the game that I'm playing, right? I get that. Let's make sure the app still runs. But if you're new to this, you are more likely to just hack stuff in. You're more likely to just get it working. And what happens when you put that into production? Right? What happens when that's a production application? Yeah. Also, Mojo, being that you are the Aspire expert in the room, how do I make it persist? So right now, this is doing the migration every single time it starts up. How do I make it persist? So these databases don't get wiped out. Memsworth does nothing. No. I think Memsworth does this so he can swear and shout damn a lot. But you know, he's not wrong in some respects because he's hitting these issues and it's not healthy. Because it's not his fault. Some of these things are happening. Oh yeah, I want to check the website. So we want to log into the site and see there. There we go. So we have our card. So this means it's pulling from the database, right? Because these are seeded from the database. These are not actually coming from anywhere but the database. Okay. So we have not broken anything. Add data volume. So I know that's a slight diversion. So if you're new to the stream, What I'm working on is a platform I'm referring to as developers.stream. I actually got the domain a long time ago. So there is a site there, and it's so you can get the idea of what it's trying to do. What I'm trying to build is a platform for helping promote streamers, developer streamers. So Twitch is great. There's a lot of development streamers on there, but there's a lot of, imbalance. There's, half a dozen or more with over 10 viewers, a chunk with, you know, 2 to 10 viewers, and then everyone else is one person, a one viewer. And you could be doing interesting things that discoverability is hard. Going into other people's streams, self promotion is discouraged, right? You're watching someone else's stream. So, and also you might want to stream on YouTube. You might not want to use Twitch. So what I want to do is develop a platform that allows you to log in, link your accounts, so that you can, you can share the stream, and then help with search and promotion through being able to correctly tag yourself and also describe what you do, so that if you go into a stream, the streamer can interact with an API that we produce that will allow them to know, oh, this person's a streamer and they stream these languages. You might want to shout them out or whatever. So we can build those sorts of tools. So this is what I'm trying to build. Yeah. So being able to find streamers by, they use, you know, uh, um, Ruby on Rails, or they use this obscure framework, or they develop, games using, Lego. There's all sorts of uh, things that you could want to search for. So yeah, trying to help promote those things and share those streamers with everyone else. And if you go on YouTube, YouTube's not very easy to find streams. It doesn't do good because it works on a promotion right basis. So, my stream doesn't get watched a lot on YouTube. Give me 5 minutes. When I get my coffee, I get a big delay because I lose signal a couple of times. There's 2 ways to persist your container data and don't remember when to use which. Leave data volume is the one you want here. Okay, I mean, there's no rush on that one. It was just asking. Obviously, we're not even at that point yet, but it did jump into my head. So what I've done is I've created a notes file here. So we did this one. Actually, if I convert that to MD, then I can do, what is it? Is it tilde? The strike through? I think it's that. So we do need to do that now. Is there no Markdown preview in? There we go. Okay, so let's do this now. Let's do this piece. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open the Blazor with auth writer project over on the right. I'm going to take the pieces we feel we need. I'm going to copy them in. I'm going to see if we can get this working. Tools, options. So if you have any questions, thoughts, opinions on what I'm doing in everything I'm working in here, feel free. You're more than welcome to join in. You're more than welcome to pass an opinion or share some experience. I'm happy to answer any questions. The point of the stream is to talk, is to kind of go through these things and just generally learn. Really? Tell me it didn't clean up the behind the scenes. Huh. Interesting. There we go. So now we have account. We have these pieces. There's the extensions thing that adds the routes. So this, ooh, that needs some some attention. Good afternoon. You're using VS. Are you okay? Rumbly Geek. Hello. Hope you're well. If you set up a DB password after adding a data volume in your app post, you'll have to delete your volume. Add data volume sounds right to me. Okay. I am using Visual Studio because I'm building developers.stream, and I think it's disingenuous, we'll say, to use Rider when I'm saying, hey, this is an open source project that anyone can pick up and use, and then I'm going to use a tool that, is I know it's free, but yeah. Okay. No, no reference. That really just. Okay. That's interesting. That's I don't like that. I don't like putting a class inside of my code inside of a Microsoft namespace. That's interesting. Okay, this just needs rename spacing. I'm sure Visual Studio has a menu for that. Yes, there we go. Oh, Rider does. JetBrains does. Remove the else if email sender is identity no op email sender blocked from register confirmation razor after updating with a real implementation. Yeah, it's fine. I'm sure we'll get to that eventually. It's absolutely freezing this room. Don't you put your service collection extensions in the dependency injection namespace? No. No. Primarily because I like to make sure that it's easily understood where it is. I don't like to hide it. I know that Mediator does. Mediator puts its add Mediator into Microsoft extensions, dependency injection. I just don't. I don't like putting it in namespaces I don't own. Maybe that's just something I've never done. So maybe I just don't think to do it. Joy. Okay. Well, I'm not going to do it immediately, so we're fine for right a second. I'll figure that challenge out when I come to it. Do you think there's any, Des, do you think there's any benefit to doing it that way? To putting it in the namespace? Is there a best practice that says you should do that I'm missing? Not sure if it's in framework development guidelines or whatever, but I think it's more or less a de facto standard. Suppose if you're developing a library, that makes sense actually. So I do have some service collection extensions elsewhere, but if you include the library, then the extension becomes immediately available. Yeah, that makes sense actually. Now I'm thinking through that. I haven't thought of it that way because I've only developed 2 libraries for the use with Liquid Sky. But once I thought through that, then I'm like, that does make a little sense, doesn't it? Maybe we change that. But when I'm doing it internally, when I'm doing extension methods internally, no. It yeah, it just doesn't. That's going to be a problem. Developers.stream.web. What? Why are you client.layout? Let's worry about that in a second. Otherwise, in large solutions with tons of projects, your top level program whatever ends up with a few pages of using at the top. Right, but it's explicit where they're coming from, I suppose. Not a big fan of hidden. In the libraries, though, it makes perfect sense. That might be something I'd change, because that, from a usability perspective, that makes sense. When it's my own stuff internally, I'll have to have a think about that one. Also, with the tools doing what they do now, it collapses all the usings by default in Rider. So you don't actually see the usings ever, so you can't appreciate what's up there. Okay, let's try and get this working now. So, we had one more problem there. Why was that referring to? Does that actually reference? Oh, it does reference it. Okay. So that layout then that I was looking at, I'm sure I'll find quickly. Didn't mention layout. The using is miles away from the usage of the extension, so you don't really have context without a mouse over F12 anyway. Yeah. That's an interesting one. I'll have to have a look at that. See if I can find the guidance. No, that I totally believe you. It makes perfect sense. But I'd be interested to know what the general guidance in that is. Oh, I did this, but never mind. Oh, no. The right things, not the wrong things. There's a lot here. I'm not worrying too much about what it is that I'm doing right this second. Just I'm cleaning it up so it builds. That's priority number one. Sure you'll find lots of posts both for and against. Yeah, I mean, again, as with everything, what matters most is the consistency and the rules within your own code base. Um, if someone else is using the code base, like again, with the libraries, um, uh, I can see why that helps, because it just means that you can add a reference to the library and then use the extension method. You don't have to be like, oh, well, you need to include this using. From a documentation perspective, I can definitely see why that's useful. Assume that didn't the refactor adjust namespaces here. Yeah, it doesn't catch that. Yeah, so from a library's perspective, 100% makes sense. Um, but from a personal, within a project thing, yeah, it was in here, wasn't it? I think it was here, and I think I did layout. So layout's managed in here? No, it's not. Okay, so this created some pieces in the client as well. So this created a open Explorer. This created a piece in here, right? And then that references that developers.stream dot web dot client dot no, that's not going to be there yet, is it? Yeah, it's why, I mean, why I've got away from following everybody's, hey, you should do this, you should do this, is because what matters more in your own code base is that you are comfortable moving around it, that you are generally consistent. I know I'm not all the time, but I'm consistent enough to know when I need to change something, and I'm happy changing it. I'm happy moving around the code and changing it. So it it's way more important than following someone's necessarily, what they're comfortable with, right? And if you work in a code base with others, find agreement. Like, lose one battle, win another battle, whatever. Mr. Jones, good afternoon. Hope you are well. You work from home today? You're gracing us with your Twitch viewership. Okay. Did I just fall asleep and forget what I saw then? Okay. So I need to figure this had layout developers.stream web client wasn't shared layout. What are you doing? Layout. Yeah, that. Yeah, it's currently set a whopping 0. YouTube normally is though. People stop in. I'm not sure I'm comfortable with 2 trolls on the PHP stuff. We may be handing out some channel timeouts soon. I think there's only enough room for 1 troll. If you don't watch out, I'll just do a Laravel stream. We'll build Liquid Sky's front end in Laravel. Oh no, PHP is not dead. Nothing's wrong with PHP. Workshop, hello, how you doing? Yeah. So for reference, I am not in the habit of genuinely I can't think of the stream is language only, so I can't think of a better word. I'm not in the habit of joining in on language dislike, right? We have a lot of languages. The tool that works best, the tool you're comfortable in is great. About 13 years ago, I decided to stop working in PHP and .NET simultaneously. I focused my energy on .NET. A couple of years ago, I got a new job. That job now involves PHP, but it is old PHP, no framework, so it is the worst kind of PHP, right? It takes a challenge to get that up to spec. It takes a lot of effort to get that moving forward. So I'm not always the happiest, right? I'm not going to go into details. But yeah, it's older PHP, so it's not as well structured. It doesn't use a framework, so it's it needs some work, right? That's fine. Um, so not in the process of disliking languages. Um, but my .NET world is a comfier world for me, right? Um, yeah, yeah. So there's no dislike of PHP here. It is a .NET stream. So Mr. Jones and now Mojo decided to troll a little bit over it. So I don't want to make people feel excluded because they're not because they're using other languages. That is not the way I want to go. Exactly, friendly troll. Seen a fair chunk of that in my time as well. Okay, so we have some pages. Let's go and get the code in. Okay, so the client needs a few things. Create default, add that, that's fine. Builder.services.add authorization call. I thought it was authentication over authorization. Does this change the order? Or am I been saying it's wrong to myself for the last couple of weeks? We don't have cascading authentication state there anyway. Nope. Working framework, let me have this. I wouldn't be where I am today without PHP. Where I am currently is .NET Dev. Well, I would still argue that regardless of whether I'm professionally doing .NET Dev right now, I am still a .NET Dev. It's in the middleware order that matters, isn't it? Yeah. Yes, it's in the app. Yes, it's where it matters most. My brain was just like, because I always do it in the same order anyway, just to try and make sure I don't forget. Okay, so two of those things. This one is available. Builder.services.add auth. These are not. That's the only one that's there. Okay, let's go back and look at the code. Let's look at the main program one first before we worry too much about the client. Okay, let's do this. But yeah, I always just go authentication before authorization. You have to make sure you are allowed to log in before you check what you can do when you are logged in. Add authentication state serialization. I've got that piece. This is the database. Okay. Apparently adding a folder from there is too difficult. Some work done. Configuration. So my pattern here is I create a configuration file. A configuration. Hello, Taylor. Hello. What's up? What's up? I'm having a visit. Does Taylor show on stream or does Taylor not show on stream is the question. So you think I'm not talking to myself. Hello, Missy. Stream. Hello, Tails. You okay? I'm not being weird here. I have a dog to my right. She's just come in and jumped up to say hello. Right? You okay? Um, okay. Configuration. Why do I feel so out of sorts with this? Doesn't feel right. Class. Database configuration. Public static. I host. I think it's host application builder. Really? Is that really that? Not that I don't trust it very much, but I think that is. Yeah. Builder. Term builder. Oh, that's because that's builder services. Builder.add database. It's 0 degrees Celsius right now. Yeah. So one way I've done this in other apps is to do that. The order of, because again, the order of, to Desi's point, the order of the builder component doesn't matter. The order of the other pieces does. I'll be right back. I gotta let dogs out. Okay, sorry about that. So let's do this. Let's add, go back over here. So now let's add in these pieces. Right. So there's our revalidating state provider. There's our authentication. Then they add the database piece. So do we need to add a DB context for? Yeah, we still need to do it for our auth DB, don't we? So if we do this. Okay, so auth db context. Right? Oh, application user is still valid. Auth db context. We need to use, so we've got this configuration in our Aspire migration service, right? That's this one we want to use. Kind of. I find it interesting that Microsoft does have a lot of code built using add DB context, but then we've got a lot of DB context factory. This is a Blazor example still using DB context. We don't need to do migrations in here. Yeah. So this is a Blazor app using, but I think pool DB context was introduced because of Blazor, right? It's a good idea anyway, but yeah. Remove that. I'm good with that. I like the idea of setting up so what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this into an auth component in a second. Add authentication, add database developer exception page filter. So where does that come from? External. See, this is the problem with doing this, because that shows as being in Microsoft extensions dependency injection, but it's not in that library. ASP.NET Core diagnostics. Why didn't you update? Yeah, if you're new to the stream, I'm building an application or a platform really for supporting developers who stream. You're more than welcome to ask any questions, share any thoughts or opinions on what I'm doing. There's also a Discord if you're interested in hanging out and chatting sometimes. We do actually hang out in the voice chat several times a week. No set times, just kind of hanging out there sometimes during the workday. Where we just talk about software development in general. You are more than welcome to hang out. Sometimes diagnostics. It's not a thing. Although it is there. ASP core diagnostics. So entity framework core. So this extension method is in this library. Now in Rider, I clicked on the extension. It showed as being in Microsoft extensions that I didn't dependency injection, right? Because that's the namespace it's in. That doesn't tell me which package I have to add. So that's one of the downsides to doing it that way, I suppose. So what I did there is I actually used the fact that Rider told me well, I went and looked up the actual type. Rider gives you a direct link to the Microsoft docs, and that tells you which package. It tells you the namespace is Microsoft.extensions.dependency injection. Hoop I did not want to have to jump through. Okay, so we've got application user with authDB context. This is our authDB context. Add sign-in manager, add default token providers. Okay, so those are those pieces added. So let's go and add all this. To an auth configuration. If you don't agree with how I'm doing this, I'm happy to discuss. In general, this is just the way I build applications. Once this goes into, once I say, hey, we're good for this to be open source, if you have different opinions of how things should be built, you know, you can always make a PR or make an issue or whatever you want to do. That's the purpose of this. But if I don't build this in a way that I understand right now, and the way that I build applications, it's going to make it harder to maintain as a library, so as a platform. And what I want to do is, at the point it's useful, I'm going to fork this into my own repo so I can do the production build of it and, you know, maintain changes separately to the actual application, which means I can put in some extra pieces that work for me. Definitely agree with that. It does seem like it would have been helpful to reuse namespaces across different packages to reduce the number of using directories, but it can be difficult to know which NuGet reference you need for a certain method. Yeah, it doesn't always make it very obvious. Yeah, because if you look at the file on its own, right? This is the file that I clicked on, right? Namespace, dependency injection. Right. It doesn't tell me necessarily. So I get why it's awesome. But you know, I expand here. That does tell me, I suppose. But yeah, so what I did is I hovered over this and clicked on this link in Rider, and it navigated. Yeah. It used to have the assembly name at the top. Yeah. Not here. Maybe Visual Studio will decompile that differently, but yeah. Let's see. Although that still uses JetBrains. It uses ReSharper to do that. Yeah. Okay, so let's go back here. Let's do add auth. Right, so now we have our auth pieces in there. I'm gonna leave that. I'm gonna leave this here because I feel that email configuration is slightly separate, even though it's using the application user. Okay, so that's identity core. Now let's move to the bottom of this. So we do need to do app.map additional identity endpoints. At no point in here do we actually do add authorization at all. It's interesting. Oh well. Let's clean up those usings. Right. So the way I do this, right, you end up with a configuration there, but these are done first thing, which to me, I feel that makes it perfectly readable. You can navigate to it pretty quickly, and it pieces these things pretty well. That's the database pieces. That. Pretty sure that's telling me that that doesn't need that, right? But what I'm looking for is it to tell me that, and it's not. I'm not. I'm wondering whether I'm conflicting with tools. But either way, that's neither here nor there. We're going to come back to the client in a second. So as far as I can tell, that's all the pieces from that part. Now, from a connection strings perspective, oh, interesting. App settings. Interesting. So, opinions. Am I making this too complicated, having two contexts? Right? Do you feel that having two contexts, two connection strings, makes the auth harder? Would you do it this way? Have you thought to do it this way? Okay, so I believe this is a missing. Yes, this is a missing package. So this is missing Microsoft ASP.NET Core components, WebAssembly. Does Microsoft still have 256? Oh, hold on. Oh, browse. That was missing. States his quiet opinion. You are doing it the way I do it. Separate DB for identity and other DBs. Okay, cool. I'm not a weirdo then. All weirdos together. It's fine. There's no point in messing around with leaving those outstanding right this second. This application is new. There's no benefit in leaving them on older versions because any documentation I find might be referring to things that are added since, and that's not something I'm willing to. There you go. Add cascading authentication state and builder.services dot add authentication state deserialization. There we go. So they're there now. They're there. Okay, so we have in here, this has a route.razor, which this is missing. Routes. Looks like that. We have a redirect to login. Oh, come on, play the game. I will note that I do have multiple apps using the same identity store, but that they have their own application DBs, so I'm hoping someone else shares their opinion as well, because I'd be interested to know if there are differing approaches. That's why I asked. Anyone wants to jump in, more than welcome. Oh, come on. Really? Okay. There's redirect to login. There's the program CS. The imports does nothing particularly drastic. That's fine. The pages, there's a home page in the client over here, but not in here, but that's fine. And then the main layout here with its corresponding CSS. Oh, sugar. I'll be right back. Okay, last time that necessary. CSS settings. Okay. So let's see if we can at least build and run. I mean, I find it interesting that we all develop applications very differently, and yet people have standards, right? People have expectations of what? Not all code paths return. You can, and that's kind of one of the things I latch onto, whenever I did. If I keep holding to how other people expect me to build software, if I don't quite follow along with the why they're doing something, I'm just going to continually get stuck. Okay, so that's multiple components use the tag routes. Components developer.stream.web components.routes. Okay. Ah, that's interesting. So in this version, routes lives in the web. In the other one, routes lives in the client. That's quite fascinating. We're going to delete you because you were a templated start. Let's see what I broke. Really hoping that we can get to the point of the app running and at least getting a login created in some way, shape, or form. That'd be awesome. That'd be an awesome end to the stream. Start that. I don't know why I'm starting that because I think it starts automatically. Okay, so we haven't broken anything. To be honest, it's around 10 years ago that I started identity data. They're all by myself. Most of the time, I either have already auth stuff externally or using Keycloak. The only thing that I consume are bearer tokens with everything in it. So the reason I'm doing all identity in this is because I don't want to create a dependency on something that extra that makes it more complicated for someone trying to pick it up. Also, to me, like Auth0, right? With Liquid Sky, I use Auth0. You authenticate with Auth0. I hand off to internal components to do authorization. It works perfectly fine, right? I'm happy with that style, but I don't want to take that dependency into this app because I want this to be open source. So building out the identity components, although not ideal for me, because again, there's a lot of stuff I don't understand. There's a lot of scaffolding. I can see that. Um, it's a better path for this app right now. We can look at how to use external providers or whatever we need to do to make sure we're not owning passwords if we need to. But it's another chance to learn as well. But I haven't, again, in my career, I've not done a lot of this stuff. I've not been around a lot of it. I've not been responsible for building it. I've not been I've worked with hand rolled auth solutions more often than anything else, and um, yeah, that's not ideal. I should have spent some time learning some of this stuff because now it's just this big intimidating chunk of code. But I prefer the world where I'm just consuming the bearer tokens. But even with Liquid Sky, right, we have the sorry, my head is killing me. Liquid Sky, I have the self-rolled identity component in the back end to deal with authorization. In my opinion, you should provide a minimal authorization for testing the open source and for hosting it using some solution. Nowadays, auth stuff can get very complex fast. Oh, absolutely. No doubt. But that's, so I have that option. That's why when it gets to a certain point where it's functionally capable of doing the things I want to do, I will fork the repository to my own version that I can do some of those things if I so choose. But to one line's point, we can say we don't allow a username and password and you have to use an external provider, right? So we can hook up Google or whatever as a provider, so we're not responsible for the password. That does take some of the load off there because we don't need a lot of the pieces. We just have a profile. And in that respect, we're almost managing it just like a token. Hook up Twitch and YouTube itself. Well, so I considered making that, like, obviously I'm going to have to add the auth to them, but I wasn't sure about using them as the identity providers. Probably could, yeah. Probably could make them identity providers. But I don't know how to do that. I've got to learn. So having the ability to register with a site as well is, yeah, because if I get it right, adding these pieces in just gives me all the facility to say, okay, now I want to add Twitch as a provider and YouTube as a provider, and you can log into them, right? Okay, so how do we have to create in the page now a link to register? I know it in theory, but never use them directly. But we can check it out together for a couple of hours when you like. Yeah. You can even see instructions in the scaffolded register and login components. So we can customize all these. External login picker. Okay, so they allow Facebook, Google, and external provider authentication. Yeah. No. No. Eh. Eh. So if I understand it correctly, basically they are wrappers around like OIDC. It's basically here's how to use. So we're creating an OIDC provider. Opening it. Yeah, that's if we're using Keycloak, I think. We could use OpenEdit. GitHub. GitHub wouldn't be a bad one to add as an auth provider. You're building a GitHub app, you can still use the OAuth web application flow, but the servers. Authorization grant type and device authorization grant for apps. If you want to skip authorizing your app in the standard way, such as when testing your app, you can use the non-web application flow. To authorize your OAuth app, consider which authorization flow best fits your app. Web application flow used to authorize users for standard OAuth apps that run in the browser, or device flow, right? So we're using this. Okay. Yeah, there's a lot to change here. Let's okay. First idea. Let's see if we can hook this up and log in with an internal, right? We'll get an account registered. This isn't going out yet. I think GitHub is one we could definitely deal with. And because there's instructions, I think, or directions, not instructions. These are not instructions, these are directions. I can use this to get used to some of the terms. Line that up. Maybe we can get a GitHub authorized external provider. We then extend that to use Twitch. Like, because then we've got the knowledge we can use. We can probably log in with Twitch using the same thing. And maybe we can do the same. Well, Google is YouTube. Is it not? So if we add Google, we could log in to the YouTube account, potentially. Is Google Auth the same as YouTube Auth? No, it's not. It's slightly separate. But we can probably build the external providers for Twitch and YouTube going through, learning through the GitHub one. GitHub makes sense. It's a developer, right? So having the ability to log in with GitHub makes sense. Then we just have to figure out how to do the auth as a separate component, because we want to say, oh, I want to add my Twitch stream, I want to add my YouTube account, and that's our way of confirming that you are the owner of the streams, right? That's how we're going to do that. So you're going to have to auth with them, which is why this is not this platform is not going to be a crawler, right? It's not going to loop through Twitch streams and add them in automatically. This is going to be a completely opt-in platform. If you don't want to be found, you don't have to do it. But the idea would be, once we've got the platform up and running, it's promoting, right? It's self-promoting in that you go in a stream, they use the tool to identify who you are. They know you're a streamer. They call you, they shout you out and say, "Hey, this is a platform that you can use for discovery," and it's based around that. So let's try and get John Quintero. Thank you very much for the follow, by the way. I appreciate it. Again, if anybody has questions, thoughts, opinions, you're more than welcome to share. You're more than welcome to join in the conversation if you want to. Obviously, I appreciate you hanging out and watching. There is a Discord. You're more than welcome to check out. It's linked in the cards below, both on Twitch and YouTube. And you're more than welcome to join in there. Okay, so let's see if we can put. So should we be able to put a register link in the layout? Developers.stream. Nav link. Is it nav link I want? Or is it? Yeah. Nav link class equals nav link href equals account register. Let's try. So we can always turn off the internal login later, right? There's nothing saying we can't. We just need to delete all the login and register components and just provide delete the components out of the login that gives us the username and password. Hey to Cyber, thank you very much for the follow. Appreciate it. So if you're new to stream, Mondays and Fridays I work on this platform, is the current format. Again, the idea is to help promote developers who stream. Tuesday through Thursday, sorry, I work on a larger product, which is a project management and planning tool. That platform is 14 months in progress, in the works. There is a lot of different technologies in there. This is using Blazor with Aspire. That is using Angular with a .NET backend, but we're using Kafka and Service Bus and GraphQL and all sorts of other technologies in that one. This is going to be open sourced. Oh, this is open source. Develop .NET. There we go. Ooh. This is going to go to a no-op. So sample at test.com. Boom. Can I create a DB set for application user? Because this type is not included in the model for the context. I've got a feeling I was meant to do something. Backend auth. Am I meant to add this? Yeah, I am, aren't I? Yes, I am. Public DB set, application user. That does not feel right at all. Set application user. Oh, no, what are you doing? Yeah. Why, brain? That moment when you question your own sanity. Application user does not access instance data can be marked as static. But oh, I'm sorry, you were telling me that exact same thing, and my brain was like, I'm in the context. Like, It's been a long day. Sorry. uh, okay, well, let's see. But you shouldn't need to. Yeah. I didn't think this was required by virtue of me hooking it up inside of Program CS. So let's see if it changes that error. Public class application, DB contest. Yours looks different. Yes, it does, because I'm not specifying which user in that context. That's why. You are correct. Yep, that's why you're doing it, because you're doing that. You're specifying which user context. That'll be determined in the identity DB context. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so we go here, register, test at example.com. That's interesting. Connection string property has not been initialized. Boo. Boo. We are so close. Oh, hold on. That might be because I did this. I might be overriding it by doing that. Let's just verify that. It takes 2 seconds to check. Oh no. I assume you snooze the ads for me. Thank you. I just went to check and I'm like, oh, I can't snooze them. You didn't? Someone did. No. Okay. So I've got to learn why I need to do the connection strings. Yeah. Well, there's only Rambling Geek that's the only other admin in here, so and I didn't do it. But anyway, that's unfortunately where we are right this second. So I will try to learn why that doesn't work. We are close. We are getting to the page. The page works. I think the setup is correct. It tried to insert into the database, which is a good sign. It means the configuration looked correct. So I think on Monday will be a longer stream, by the way, because it is a day off. So Monday will be a longer stream. On Monday, we will pick this up, get user registration working, and probably spend a bit of time on that identity provider. Maybe we can get GitHub added as an external auth provider on Monday's stream. And if we can achieve that, going through their directions, Twitch and others might not be that difficult, and we can add them as auth providers. At the very least, I want to get to that on Monday, right? And it's going to be a struggle stream, I'll be honest. I'm not wholly confident with that. It's a little scary. But yeah. So anyway, that is me. Don't forget, it's Friday. Which means that I recommend you to make sure your connection string in the app DB context is the same name as your connection strings entry. Yeah, it was. It was configured. Yeah. So Fridays is a community day stream on one line stream normally, assuming you are streaming. It's a great place to hang out and go and chat. And hopefully, for the first time in like 4 weeks, I'll be able to attend today. Fingers crossed. I think I don't have any meetings at that point right now. But otherwise, I am going to call it here. We are going to go raid Maybe. Maybe is working on his he's actually refactoring today. He's doing a React app. He's building a health and fitness app in React, which is coming along. But yeah, we're going to go over there, and I will be back on Monday. Yeah, I think that's me. So take care. Let's go see Maybe. And yeah. Oh, and if you have user secrets with a connection string, that is has your identity connection string for the host of the stream. Well, we'll cover that on Monday. We'll get into connection strings and stuff. I might tinker a little bit more off stream just to make sure I'm ready for that. But yeah. But thank you for the help, One Line, as always. Appreciate it. Appreciate the effort. We're getting there. I think we're moving along. So I'll see everyone on Monday, hopefully. Take care. Have a great rest of your day. Bye all.